Between Mexico and the World Health Organization, who's telling the truth? Neither are particularly reputable, but I think I may have to say that I see where Mexico's head of its Ministry of Health is coming from. And that is because the health minister is denying claims made in a statement by the WHO that a 59-year-old Mexican national is the first human to die from the H5N2 bird flu virus they're trying to scare us with H5N1 being the strain which largely affects animals, which has recently been reported in 3 human cases of farm workers in Texas and Michigan who only came down with mild symptoms. The health minister says the cause of the man's death has not yet been fully confirmed, but that it's known he suffered from a whole host of ailments, including from type 2 diabetes, chronic kidney disease, and systemic arterial hypertension. He had been bedridden for weeks prior to his death and had no contact with poultry or other animals. To be fair, Mexico may be trying to fudge the truth here in order to err on the side of protecting their farming and agriculture from any type of shutdown or increased testing of livestock, as Dr. Deborah Birx of COVID infamy is trying to call for here in the U.S., despite the fact that such increased costs and regulatory burden could destroy small farms and not bring many positives. But even if they have a hidden agenda to brush away such bad headlines, it's still clear that unfortunately this man was at death's door regardless of whether or not he ever came into contact with the virus. It's just like how many COVID numbers were drastically inflated. This is all very important to understand, as mRNA manufacturers are now talking about creating just such a shot for bird flu. How long until they begin to mandate it for us? They'll just rework the granny-killing line from COVID to say that you want another pandemic to happen because you won't prevent it by lining up to get jabbed. It's all your fault. How selfish. Our first guest tonight breaks down everything you need to know about this situation in a new article he wrote for the Blaze News, where he is a senior editor. Daniel Horowitz is also the host of the Conservative Review podcast and the co-author of Rise of the Fourth Reich, Confronting COVID Fascism with a New Nuremberg Trial so this never happens again. Daniel, thanks for being here tonight.
Great to be back with you, and indeed it is happening again.
It is. So what is the deal with these mRNA shots? It sounds like we're getting even more of them because it worked so well the first time.
I mean, these guys have built dozens of factories throughout the world to mass produce mRNA. They weren't just going to go home after COVID once people no longer feared it and the uptake on the shot ground to a halt. They were obviously going to go on to the next things. And the problem is when you do not disincentivize bad behavior, and in fact, it's incentivized by the government offering them endless free subsidies and marketing, they're going to do it again. And we just had this coronavirus subcommittee hearing just last week, and the Republican chairman, Brad Wenstrup, thanked Fauci for saving millions of lives with shots that we now know killed lives and have negative efficacy against COVID, pursuant to a study from his own state in Ohio, the Cleveland Clinic. So obviously, they're just going to do it again. I never would have thought that when you and I started talking about this in 2021, we would have 3 years of endless reams of data and information and academic studies, case studies, Pfizer documents, European Medicines Agency documents showing that these shots are ineffective and obviously potentially damage every organ system, yet we have not advanced at a political level to take them off the market. So now they're working on bird flu shots, and they've already gotten 4 versions of RSV vaccines for seniors and pregnant women approved.
You know, and it's crazy because I know there's a lot that goes into what we saw initially with COVID, right? So I know there's a lot of factors. There's the political games and the like, but I think part of it, at least from the big pharma and the medical industry, that side of things, I think they just flew too close to the sun like Icarus. They just are too hubristic on this. They're playing and gambling with lives, where they think, hey, instead of waiting for a pandemic to come around every, few decades or so, however often it may be, let's try and sniff around for what strains we think could become the next pandemic. We're going to play around with these strains in the lab. We're going to test things out. We're going to see what happens. I guess part of that includes gain-of-function research, at least when it comes to COVID. And then, though, when it does happen, when the breakout does happen, we're going to have a whole host of our remedies so we can make money off of it. So in their minds, they're thinking, oh, it's a win-win.